Well, the far-left media is relying on dangerous rhetoric to distract voters from the issues. The economy is a top concern for voters, and the final jobs report before Election Day was historically bad. The U.S. economy only added 12,000 jobs last month, which is far below expectations. And of course, inflation has skyrocketed by 20% under the Biden-Harris administration, and everything costs more than it did 4 years ago. But on the campaign trail, Harris isn't talking about that. Instead, she's trying to scare people into voting for her.
Unlike Donald Trump, I don't believe people who disagree with me are the enemy from within. He wants to put them in jail. He wants to put them in jail. I'll give them a seat at my table. Donald Trump has told us his priorities for a second term. He has an enemies list of people he intends to prosecute. He wants to put them in jail.
Others on the left, unsurprisingly, are saying the same thing.
I mean, you're a journalist. You and I might be sharing a cell in 6 months from now.
He's talked internment camps. You know what, Jake? You may have to visit me in one. I get worried enough when he talks about what he's going to do to his political enemies.
This time next year, I might not be sitting here. There might not be a White House Correspondents' Dinner or a free press.
Let's bring in RNC spokesperson Elizabeth Pipko to respond to all of this. So, Elizabeth, we had this horrible jobs report on Friday, and yet all we've been hearing about is these out-of-context comments from Liz Cheney over the weekend, or about Liz Cheney.
Yeah. I mean, can you blame them, right? This is the worst jobs report under the Biden-Harris administration, right? This is what people are paying attention to, especially those folks that might still be undecided going in to Tuesday, right? They're looking at these numbers, looking at the fact that 7 million Americans are unemployed. That's up from around 6.4 at this point last year. They're looking at the fact that we lost 46,000 manufacturing jobs last month. That's something President Trump talks about all the time. And they're thinking to themselves, was I actually doing better under Donald Trump than I am now, right? Do I want President Trump back in the White House? Because these numbers only show how much worse things can get with 4 more years of Kamala Harris in the White House.
Yeah, and the numbers for this month, while hugely disappointing and underwhelming, in addition to that, they revised down the previous 2 months by more than 100,000 jobs as well. So it's just an awful report across the board. Elizabeth, I just want to ask you about President Trump and his schedule. He's spending a lot of time in North Carolina. I've heard from Republicans in that state who seem pretty confident about how things are looking in the early vote, and yet he's there 3 times in the span of a couple days. If they're still concerned about North Carolina to be sending him there that often, what's the deal with the Virginia rally?
Well, President Trump obviously cares about the people of North Carolina. He also cares about the people of Pennsylvania, which is why he's going to be there quite a few times before Tuesday as well, right? For President Trump, it's about making sure that his message is out there with everyone, right? Every single person that he can reach. That's why we're doing multiple rallies a day leading up to Tuesday, and that's why this campaign trail has been as important as it has to President Trump and as busy as it has, right, for President Trump. So we are not concerned about North Carolina, but we have to make sure, obviously, that his message and his promises to the American people are heard by everyone from West Coast to East Coast in every state that we can reach.
Elizabeth, when you look at the remaining voters, the undecided voters, it's hard to imagine anyone hasn't made up their mind this close to the election. It suggests that they're undecided not because they haven't decided which personality they like. Even though Harris is trying to paint Trump's character as a reason to vote, it seems that it's issued based. What is the pitch? What is the hard final homestretch pitch to the undecided voters? What do you think will be the game-changing factor?
Yeah, so I think for us in these last couple of days leading up to Tuesday, right, for us it's simple. It's were you better off under President Trump than you are right now? For Donald Trump, it doesn't matter who he's speaking to, male, female, Black Americans, white, gay, or straight. The message is the same. We want the border to be secure. We want you to have more money in your pocket. We don't want a chance for a war around the world that we might have to get our young men and women involved in. That's what matters to President Trump. It doesn't matter where he is or who he's speaking to, what you look like, where you come from, who you pray to. All that matters is that you are on Team USA, that you want to be prosperous again, you want to be successful again, you want the same for your country. And that's what President Trump is going to remind each and every person that he speaks to over the next 3 days.
When it comes to being on the trail and the teams out there and they're hearing from voters, whether it's the comments about Liz Cheney taken out of context or a joke at the MSG rally or even the death of a squirrel, tragically, in New York City, are these sort of one-off issues that get a lot of play in media making an impact with the actual voters that you folks speak to?
Yeah, so I think it depends what we're talking about. Obviously, with the Liz Cheney comments, I thought a few things were interesting there. Number one, I think the fact that they were reported as incorrectly as they were shows a really big lack of respect for the American people, right? The mainstream media, who feels that they can report in any which way that they want, kind of proves that they believe the American people don't have the time or the energy or the interest to look up these comments for themselves and find the truth in a 2-minute clip on the internet, right? But number two, I think it shows just how much our country has changed, because most people on the left, most that identify as liberals, probably a couple of years ago would have agreed with President Trump, right? Would have agreed with his anti-war sentiment. Now we've become a country full of people that are disingenuous about the values that actually used to matter to them because Donald Trump is at the top of the ticket and leading in the polling as he is. So I think it's a very interesting time, and I do think people are paying attention to it because they see how things are being misreported to them. They see how they're being lied to, and they know for a fact they have to vote in their own best interest on Tuesday because of that.
Well, Elizabeth, it appears that Kamala is worried about her support with male voters. Actor George Clooney is voicing a political ad for her that urges men to hide their vote for the vice president from their friends.
Remember, you can vote any way you want, and no one will ever know.
Do your patriotic duty? You bet I did, brother.
What happens in the booth stays in the booth.
And actress Julia Roberts also voicing an ad for the VP, telling wives they can vote differently than their husbands and keep it a secret.
You can vote any way you want, and no one will ever know.
Did you make the right choice?
Sure did, honey.
The latest Fox News poll shows Trump leading with men and Harris is leading with women if the choice for president was today. This comes as a Harris campaign surrogate, Mark Cuban, threw shade at conservative women who support Trump.
Donald Trump, you never see him around strong, intelligent women, ever. It's just that simple. They're intimidating to him. He doesn't like to be challenged by them.
Elizabeth, you're an intelligent, strong woman, and I don't think you like lying to your husband about who you're going to vote for. So what's your reaction to this push from the Harris campaign?
Look, if my husband wasn't okay with who I was voting for, we would not be married. I think this is all incredibly strange, incredibly uncomfortable. I am very proud to vote in this election. I'm very proud to scream from the rooftops, obviously, who it is that I'm voting for. And I think this messaging that we should be lying to one another about who we support is a very strange thing going into November 5th. I think the entire idea is probably the opposite of encouraging, not what we should be kind of inspiring in our American people, especially young people, as we try to get them out to the voting booth, obviously, on Tuesday. For me, I was obviously insulted by Mark Cuban and some of the other comments we've heard, especially from our commander-in-chief. Of course, I'm also garbage this last week. And I just think for everyone, we should, again, sit by yourself, sit with those that you love, decide what you believe in, be proud of what you believe in, vote for yourself and the success and the future of your family.
All right, Elizabeth, thank you so much. And we should note that we have also reached out to the Harris campaign and the DNC for an interview, but they have yet to respond to our request.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.